welcome to the Powell Pod. I'm your co-host, Rachel Leishman.
And I'm Maggie Lovitt.
I'm Raven Brunner.
And we're here to talk about Glen Powell.
Wait, is that what this podcast is about?
No, it's about Colin Powell, actually.
Right.
We're talking about politics. I did say in an interview to Cheryl Lee Ralph that I really, 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 really want Barbara Howard to be talking about Glen Powell, but be saying Colin Powell.
Yes. Now, if that happens, I just feel like you get royalties.
Yeah. Quinta,
we said it here first.
I said it in an interview. The third time needs to be on Abbott Elementary season 4.
Like, you either get a cameo or you get paid money. Like, it's their choice. They can pick which one.
Surprised that crossover they were talking about is actually I'm on.
It is actually the crossover of the century.
Did they say that the crossover was specifically ABC?
I don't think they specified. No, they just
specified. So it could be the Powell Pod.
Because I was going to say, you heard it here first. Rachel is ABC. The entire network is just Rachel.
I own Disney.
I wish.
What a great way to start this. Yeah. Hey guys, how are you? I know we're all unhinged because it has just been nonstop work.
Well, we are in the aftermath of San Diego Comic-Con, which I did not go to, but Rachel and Maggie both went to, and I
did not attend.
I did not
go from home. I worked 185 hours in the last 2 weeks.
That's disgusting.
It was awful.
Rachel, what are 2 words to describe your experience at SDCC?
Exhausting.
That's
is that 2 words? That's exhausting. It was very fun. At one point, before I even went, and then I ended up doing it one day when I was very stressed out, I kept being like, I just want to go to the Top Gun bar. I just want to go to the Top Gun bar. And someone straight up asked me, like, oh, what are you doing at San Diego Comic-Con, meaning work-wise? I said, going to the Top Gun bar. And then, like, on Saturday, our friend Candace was, like, walking around with me, and I, like, looked at my clock, and I went, I got, like, an hour and a half before I got to get over to my panel. I kind of want to go to the Top Gun bar. So she walked the whole way there with me. It has the funniest sign I've ever seen on the wall, which is, like, featured in the sleazy bar scene from the 1986 movie Top Gun, and it is displayed very, like, prominently on the side of this building. So they were like, we're so proud we're the sleazy bar from Top Gun. And then you walk in and Tom Cruise's face is quite literally everywhere. You turn and there's a picture of Tom Cruise. Turn somewhere else, there's a picture of Tom Cruise. And the piano is there. There's bras everywhere. It's
That sounds like a place you should go to at night, not
it was in the middle of the day. It was like 2:30 on a Saturday, and I was like, let's go. I'm going to the Top Gun bar.
And what happened while you were at the Top Gun bar?
Oh my God, we have to save that for news.
I know.
Oh my God, wait. No, I actually want to know, like, who were the other people at this bar? Were they all like you?
Well, no. There were, like, legitimate people there for some barbecue. And I walk in. First of all, they only have wine and beer. Because I was like, well, can I get, like, I asked for a Twisted Tea because I asked everywhere in San Diego for a Twisted Tea, sponsor me. And they didn't have them in any of the bars. And so then I was like, okay, I'll do like a Coke and vodka. And this guy's like, no, man, we have wine and beer. I was like, cool.
I would have been like, isn't Twisted Tea technically a beer? Like, isn't that a beer product?
Like White Claw. But I was like, okay, well, like, I guess I'll have a wine. So I had a wine in the middle of this dive bar in San Diego.
That sounds iconic.
Oh, yeah, but it was everyone else trying to eat barbecue. And then like me and Candace taking pictures where I was like, Top Gun.
I wonder if that's like the tourist alert for San Diego versus like when you're in New York City, you're like taking photos with like the Empire State Building. Like, I wonder if it's going to the Top Gun bar.
I think most people were there because they wanted barbecue.
Yeah.
And just me and like one other couple were like, Top Gun. But yeah, I will explain what happened when I was there after.
Just have to stay tuned for later in the episode.
You guys need to update the world on how you're doing. I've talked too much.
I'm tired. My brain basically only contains Deadpool and Wolverine. That's occupied like so many days of my life.
We should get Ryan Reynolds on the podcast to talk about Glen Powell. I think he'd do it.
Yeah, just for the randomness of it all.
Yeah,
yes. This is our ask. Ryan, you love us.
I mean, look at us.
You will absolutely come on this podcast.
Pick the movie, dude. We'll do it. You can pick an episode of Scream Queen.
In return, we'll each say a nice thing about Deadpool and Wolverine.
Oh, you don't have to
pull teeth. That could be the whole podcast.
Yeah, right? You don't have to pull teeth for me and Maggie. Maggie and I would be like, movie's great.
I'll even wax poetically about my favorite Ryan Reynolds movie, which is School of Life.
Never seen it.
It's so good.
Mine,
See, Ryan, reasons.
Mine got usurped, and it's the Adam Project because I'm a sucker for a dad movie. But
oh, I actually really liked the Adam Project.
I did too.
That was a Netflix movie, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we should have a Ryan Reynolds tangent picture.
I actually do feel though that they're like the same type of celebrity. Like I think this is
One's
relevant.
Canadian and one's from Texas.
Yeah, one's Canadian, one's Texas. It's the same vibe.
The same vibe.
Same vibe, different fonts.
See, the only way it would be even more of a vibe would be if Ryan was from Edmonton, which is the Texas of Canada. Because I've been to Edmonton, and I was like basically stuck in the middle of a rodeo, and there were more cattle than people, and people wore cowboy hats and spurs walking around this town. I was like, am I in Texas or am I in Canada?
You know what the Texas is.
We need Ryan to weigh in on this.
Yeah. We're weighing on what the Texas.
I can't wait to see this breakout on social media.
Where it's like, no, you know what I need? Now I need Glen Powell to do the Amityville horror, like walk out in the gray sweatpants vibe that broke all of us. We were like 13. Well, not Raven, because Raven's a child. But when the rest of us were like 14. The movie came out in 2005, Raven. Were you alive?
Probably not. What was that? I would have been 7 or 8. I wouldn't even know what men in gray sweatpants meant.
Justin Theroux was not around yet.
Wait, but Maggie, what are you drinking? We know Rachel is drinking a twisted tea.
I am drinking Sam Adams, one of their summer like variety pack beers, which is the cherry wheat, and it tastes like cherry wine, but as a beer. It's really good.
That sounds beautiful.
Cheer wine.
Cherry wine.
Okay, because cheer wine's different. They're different.
That's a deep cut, Rachel. That's like North Carolina only.
Yeah, you forget I went to school in the mountains of North Carolina.
You're telling our secrets.
I know. I love me some
Carolina.
I have a bag that was ruined by cheer wine, so
dedication.
Yeah.
Well, I am drinking probably Barefoot Rosé. Like it's a cheap rosé out of my Love Is Blind gold goblet that I got from I think Cupcake Wines when they did that collaboration.
It says Love Is Blind.
It says Love Is Blind. It's a little tacky, but it's my favorite cup in the world.
And you know, I feel like Love Is Blind in the movie that we're talking about today.
Ooh. Oh my God, Maggie, you are so good at segues.
She segued too soon. We should DJ too soon. The news. Raven, kick off the news and then Maggie can segue. You have to hold your cup up again and she'll say the exact same thing.
Well, speaking of the Top Gun bar, it was announced at San Diego Comic-Con that Glen Powell will be starring in a Halloween special, a Family Guy. Wow, I like totally missed the lead of that. I was like, a Halloween special on Hulu. Who knows the show? Surprise.
And Maverick. Halloween
Peter and Stewie is around. I don't know.
But I am crazy excited. I love animation. I kind of stopped watching Family Guy a few years ago. But this will bring me back. I feel like that's the intention of doing like a special like this and having like a big guest star.
And Rachel, when did you learn about this news?
Well, in the Top Gun bar. Because Maggie added me. First of all, the shirt I'm wearing is because Maggie sent this to me while also in the Top Gun bar.
Iconic.
Chase it with a bunch of different pictures of Tyler Owens all over it. Maggie, you'll meet him soon. But she sent this to me, and me, a whine-in, was like, fuck yeah, I'm buying that, and purchased it off the TikTok shop in the middle of the bar. And then Maggie added me on the Slack and was like, this is news for me and Rachel. And I was like, what's going on? Because I had like very little service, and I clicked it, and I was like, I'm in the Top Gun bar.
You really like manifested it, I think.
There was also Top Gun 3 news.
There was
too. There was a lot going on, and I saw Lewis Pullman. I was like, what up, Bob? And also Danny Ramirez was on stage, so I was like, it was just everyone from Top Gun. I was like waiting for an announcement that Glen Powell was Ghost Rider. For me, Johnny Blaze.
What was the Top Gun? You said 3. What was that news?
That it's happening.
Oh, nice.
He went, yeah, it's happening. I have a date.
I just feel like I just assumed it was happening because I think that's what's been happening a lot when like a movie is like a hit in the box office.
Yeah, it's called sequel.
A prequels. Well, I'm excited to see what Glen Powell looks like animated. I don't think we got like a production still or anything with the news.
He's playing a champion of some
wait, I wrote it down, of a annual pumpkin contest, and then Peter and his friends are gonna try to beat him, which I think is gonna be fun because like Glen Powell plays that like cocky guy very well. I'm excited.
I think it'll be good. I think it'll be really good
for him and the podcast.
Yeah, for him and us. And I think, Raven, why don't you cheer us to that so we can see
my love is blind. Goblet.
Turn it. Turn it
so it says love is blind.
There you go. Love is blind. And I think that's a fitting segue for anyone but you, don't you too?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, perfect. First time we ever heard that. So, anyone but you, this was my first watch of it. I did not watch it. I think it came out on Netflix last year, right?
No, it was in theaters.
It was in theaters last year?
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was direct to Netflix.
No, it was a Sony movie. It came out and was in the theaters.
It was actually like one of the biggest.
Sony?
It was a big blockbuster hit. I mean, it made a lot of money for a rom-com.
Wow. Okay, tell me more.
I mean, that way to point at Maggie. I was pointing this way. I was like, wait, I'm pointing at Yoda. I'm going to point this way.
Yeah, it came out. It wasn't earlier this year, was it? It feels like it was earlier this year. It was the end of last year.
No, 2013.
Yeah. Like towards the end of 2023. I want to say like Thanksgiving.
No.
No? When was it?
Hold on, let's see.
See, time doesn't exist.
Anyone
it's
but
19.
Anyone but you release date. Oh, it was Christmas.
Okay. I knew it was a holiday. I knew it was around a holiday.
I knew I missed my screening because it was like the screenings happened at Christmas time. Okay.
So it made approximately like $220 million at the US box office.
Wow.
And that's just domestically. It continued to like extend its run. It made a really good amount of money. I think it finally went out of the box office like right after Valentine's Day, which is why I think I'm still thinking of it as being here of this year instead of last year. And then it went to Netflix, which is where I first watched it because I also missed my screening because it was around the holidays. And I rewatched it last night.
When did it come out on Netflix? What was the gap between either?
I want to say it's like decent. 2 or 3 months. Yeah, it was like a decent chunk of time. I will say.
It came out on April 23rd on Netflix. So
I got almost 6 months. I guess that's closer to like 4.
Yeah, because it was on like VOD and Direct and stuff like that. So it was out there.
I will say during the time of when it was like in theaters and people were like, what is this rom-com? People began to realize that the movie is based on a Shakespeare because that was like hidden from a lot of the marketing for some reason at the time. And then people went and saw it and were like, this is Much Ado About Nothing. And so then all of the people who like Maggie's finger, it is supposed to be an adaptation of Much Ado About Nothing.
Without any of the adaptation.
Loose adaptation. Inspired by.
Yeah, it is inspired by Much Ado About Nothing. It is, I wouldn't even call it an adaptation because it misses so many of the key aspects of Benedict and Beatrice and their like entire scenario.
Because they were literally actually together. And
yeah, I would say it is inspired by, loosely based. I wouldn't even say based. I would just say inspired by.
Are those the names of the Shakespeare characters?
Yeah, Beatrice and Benedict.
So and then in the movie, they're named Ben and B. Wow, they hit that so well.
And the big Shakespeare quote on the side. Yeah. And then
also everyone like being like, you guys should go pretend like you guys should be in love with each other. Is also like from the play.
Yeah. So Much Ado About Nothing is my favorite Shakespeare. Because as somebody who I have played Beatrice in college, I do not see that comparison at all with this movie.
You wouldn't even want to call it.
I have seen the best staged version of Much Ado About Nothing that there has ever been, which is the David Tennant and Catherine Tate. I saw it in London. It was standing room only. I stood for like 3 hours to watch it. Best experience of my life. They are the best. There is a recording of that. So if you have not seen Much Ado About Nothing and you would like to experience like a modern retelling of it, watch that one. It's so good.
I do like that you can track how different Maggie and I are. We're very similar both, so we're very different in. I was Lady M. We did Shakespeare. I was Lady M and Kate from Tammy.
Are those mom characters? Who are these characters?
No.
Lady M is the reason that Macbeth murders people.
Oh, I thought we were still talking about Much Ado.
No.
Okay, I'm following now.
Shakespeare characters in general.
I'm following.
And then I was Kate in Taming of the Shrew, who is called Shrew-like.
Shakespeare. Well, I don't know a lot of Shakespeare. I did see Hamlet, I believe, in London when Benedict Cumberbatch was in it. I was studying college in London, so we like rushed tickets. Then I was a huge fan of Scotland, PA, the off-Broadway musical, which I think is a take on Macbeth.
Mhm.
Yeah. And it was also a movie beforehand. But other than that, my Shakespeare knowledge is in the toilets. I mean, Romeo and Juliet. I've seen like 4 adaptations of that.
Oh, I've seen like 7 of Much Ado at this point, which is also whatever. Anyways,
I have to say, like, as a warning, if you really liked Anyone But You, I don't know if you will 100% like what at least 2 of us have to say about this movie.
I liked it fine. I had a grand old time. I just rewatched it on the plane for shits and giggles because it was available. I was flying to San Diego, and I said, I would put on Anyone But You.
I will say I am not the biggest fan of critiquing movies. I kind of stopped writing like formal reviews a while back because I think that I struggled with kind of the atmosphere in the online critics world where it's like I think we're not acknowledging that it even takes a lot of talent to make a bad, in quotation, a bad movie. Like regardless, I think that like a lot of talent and care was put into this movie. That said, I did not like it very much.
Yeah. No, and
I thought like everything about it from like direction, performances, script did not stick with me whatsoever.
No, and I'm of the same mind as you, as somebody who has worked in film and television, and I know just how long it takes to make some of these projects. So no, I'm of the same mind of you, but I have no issues with saying a movie's bad.
Yeah. Well, I just think that like good critics are ones that know that side of it all and can still critique a movie. And I think that sometimes it's hard to do both. And yeah, which is why I found that I like struggle a lot with critiquing movies. I did not like this start to end. I did not enjoy this.
I'm somebody who gives every movie 5 stars on Letterboxd unless it hurts my soul.
Fuck yes.
So, what?
I said, fuck yes. Like, I'm here for that. I think that's great.
Well, my whole philosophy is I have to rate movies for work. So the idea of rating a movie in my free time makes me want to blow my brains out. So instead, every movie gets 5 stars unless I was like so upset by it that like I couldn't do it, which is just Joker and Yesterday.
I hated Yesterday. My dad loves that movie. I swear to God, it is a dad movie.
Raven, let me tell you what Rachel Leishman has done. My dying father wanted to watch Yesterday with me before I knew he was dying. I was in a car with my brother as we were driving to visit my dying father, and I started crying, going, maybe I should have watched Yesterday with him. And then I got real quiet. I went, no, that movie sucks. I stand by it. I didn't want to watch that movie with my dad.
Iconic.
Like, rest in peace. I was never watching with my dad.
It is a dad movie though, in the same sense that like my dad loves a Dear Evan Hansen movie, which I think is crazy. I like the musical. I've seen the Broadway musical tons of times. My dad likes both. And I think that Yesterday and Dear Evan Hansen live in the same little bubble for me.
I froze myself.
Both of you guys did.
Because absolutely not. Dear Evan Hansen is a villain. Evan Hansen is a villain. But also, I think in that same idea of dad movies, my dad would have ate this movie up. But
I was going to say, that's what this is.
Well, it's because this movie is made for men.
Well,
like, but also, I enjoy this movie because you put a pretty boy singing Natasha Bedingfield. I was like, let's go. What are we doing? And I also love that the dog's name is Clonopin. I think that is genuinely one of the funniest things this movie does is that they're like, Clonopin, no.
I also think it falls in the dad genre because I personally really liked, is it Dermot Mulroney?
No.
What a name. What a name to say. I thought he was great in this movie.
Dylan McDermott.
Yeah, Dylan McDermott. Yeah.
That's who I wrote down in my notes. And then I like thought about it and I was like,
no, this is the one from Scream, right?
Yes. Also the one from My Best Friend's Wedding, the more like popular.
I hate it that in my head, I'm like, he's the one from Chris Colfer's feature film debut, Struck by Lightning. Because he played the dad! I got so excited, I took my headphones out.
We both just were like...
This is the second time, but Maggie and I have just frozen. Raven said something, our both just like...
Keeping it real. Saying what's on my mind.
The quick plot of this movie before we unpack scenes is B really gotta pee. And so she busts up in a coffee shop, like, you have to let me into this bathroom. And they're like, you have to buy something. She's like, actually, I don't. And Ben, Glen Powell, sees it and is like, hey, honey, come here, I'm buying bread. It's a very cute, meet cute, actually, where he's like, I'm just trying to give this bitch a bathroom key. And like, if they're gonna be assholes to her, I'm just gonna like help a girl out. And then it goes unhinged because she squirts water all over herself, takes her pants off, puts it in like an air hand dryer. All things that all she had to say was like, I just got water all over myself in the sink. And most human beings would be like,
no, it looked bad. It looked bad. I get it. I would have done what she did. I would have been like, you can go.
Okay. You know what? All I could think about, this is like such my type of personality. After holding her pants up to that thing, you know, the zipper and the button
are so hot.
So hot.
Like, ain't no way she put those on without pain.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
she
at
has
one
them
point she like
scorched-
screams in pain.
scorch mark.
Oh, that was because she like started to fall or something, wasn't it?
Oh, maybe.
It
was just chaotic.
It was chaotic. So then she leaves and they like are talking to each other and then they go and spend like a whole day together. They fall asleep on his couch after he talks about this hammer thing that his mom had.
Wrench.
The wrench, sorry. I was like, I don't fucking remember what tool it was.
Dead mom.
Dead mom. Instantly dead mom.
Dead parents. The thing about this movie is there are so many like mysteries about this man that they never really explore. They're just like,
No.
yep, don't ask me about that. Well, but what is it?
I will also
What is
say
Which is bad writing. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I just feel like I
J.J.
never
Abrams.
knew why I should care about their relationship. Like they never gave me a
I'm
reason
sorry.
why.
The relationship that I was invested in was the girls getting married.
Mhm.
Right. But I feel like you couldn't be invested in that because they didn't give them a storyline outside of like Glen and Sydney's character.
I was like, I want to know about them. I want to know what's going on with them.
But-
and like the koala scene and like there's so many like little moments that I was like, I want more of this. These people are great. I love this group of people.
Yeah.
But I guess going
love
back
her
to the
brother,
plot.
like, I forget his name, but her brother is the funniest character in this whole movie. He was like, I'm gonna train this dog. Look at this koala. Everyone put your phones away. There's a koala. It's like, he's great.
He was so zen.
Yeah.
Loved him. But I guess like going back to the plot, they hook up, have like a one night stand thing.
No,
They
they
don't
don't.
even hook
Well,
up.
it's not.
They don't hook up. They literally
my
fall
God.
asleep on a couch together, and he's like heartbroken because she just turned around and left. Which I don't blame how he reacted. I blame this whole let's not communicate and let's all talk shit. It's the dumbest like reason for her to be upset with him.
No.
Well, no, I mean, sorry. I meant it's the dumbest reason for him to be upset, and then also like her just up and leaving, but not doing it in a weird way, but her leaving being like, it's time for me to go. And then coming back like, why did I leave? Girl, I don't fucking know why you left.
I
You
feel like that could have been a text message. Did they not exchange phone numbers before she left?
I don't know.
It was
Like,
like, there were
that's-
so many things that I was like, this would have been so entertaining in like the 80s when like the thinly veiled sexism and misogyny wouldn't have been like so mind numbing because we weren't,
Right.
you know, smart enough to recognize it at that time. And like you were not maybe able to make a phone call really easy via your text message or like find each other on Instagram or like any sort of social media that two pretty people in their like, presumably early 30s or they're what, 29?
Yes, he's 29.
Yeah. No, because-
saying that he's
Because he
29.
said
nobody's-
he's 29, and then the mom is all like, nobody's 29, which I just did not get that. Am I too
was like-
young? I just did not get that line.
It is. Well, okay, so it's a joke. After you turn 30, everybody says they're still 29. It's actually
Mhm.
not that common anymore. That's not even a millennial thing.
But I
Most
just think
own
to
it.
tell the joke, you have to establish the age first. Because, like,
Yeah.
in No Hard Feelings, when they were playing around the age, she was like, I turned 30 last year. I was 30 1 year ago. And this guy just goes, I'm 29. And she goes, no, you're not. And I'm like, how old is he?
It's a Gen X and boomer joke because like my mom used to always say she was 29 or she said when she turned 29, she told her dad, who was of the silent generation, that he had to stop saying he was 29 because she's 29 now. But then when I turned 29, she was like, you're 29. Like the joke died with millennials because it's like
So not only is it outdated, it's just poorly written.
it's like an outdated joke that just doesn't work without like the context of knowing that that was like of a certain generation joke.
Yeah.
It was weird. I mean,
I also just feel like in order for it to be funny, you have to know, you have to already establish how old they are. Like they should have then talked about their age at the coffee shop and then it gets brought up an hour and a half later into the movie. Like I was just so confused because all of a sudden I wanted to know the legit answer.
right.
He's 29.
He's 39.
I don't know. There were so many moments like that where I was like, why aren't you communicating? See, miscommunication does not work in the modern era because there are so many ways to get a hold of each other.
Or here's the thing. You could have literally just set this straight at the wedding in Australia. You could have cut out half that beginning part and then just make neither of them smart enough to like set their phones to like a foreign country because they're both from America. So then whatever is going on with them, they physically can't communicate unless they go up and find each other, because otherwise you can just send a text and be like, why are we doing this?
I also feel like on that note, though, because they each equally miscommunicated with each other and we're talking around the issues, it's impossible to do a rom-com with two unlikable protagonists. Like, the entire time I was just like, I do not care about these people.
Which is where my issue is with it's an adaptation of Much Ado About Nothing, because there's so much build up with both Benedict and Beatrice at the beginning of the play, that then once all of the like snipping and banter and like all of this starts, you're already fully invested in both of them, and they're both very likable characters, and they have very real friendships that are shown, and familial relationships, and it's like very Shakespearean, but it's all like you care about those connections, and I did not care about any of these connections. Like, B was so awful to her sister. She wasn't even that cool with her parents. She was kind of like cruel about them. There's also this whole question of like, did she cheat on her ex-fiance? Like, he seems perfectly nice. And like, I feel like the fact that her parents seem to be siding with him tells me that she was the problem in that relationship. And like, they're still holding out hope of like fixing it. And he was nice. I love him.
He's great. And the actor who played him, great.
I love him so much.
Darren Barrett.
Yeah.
Barrett, I think, yeah.
I loved him so much on
Never Have I Ever.
Never Have You Ever?
Yeah.
Paxton, Yoshida Hall.
Paxton. Yep.
Were you guys Team Paxton?
I was Team Paxton.
No, Team Ben to the end.
I'm gonna shut my computer. Bye. Anyways, I overlooked a lot of the plot holes because I thought it was a fun little time. But she just up and leaves the house. And so this man is like angry about it, and he says something mean because he's like,
he doesn't just say something mean. He calls her pathetic. He calls her pathetic to his best friend.
Also, I'm sorry, why is his best friend like, you're in love? He just met this girl last night.
Yeah. But also, why are you so mad about a person from last night that you have to call them like pathetic and make endless like sexist jokes about them? Like, it was so disgusting.
Also, why is his front door open?
Why is his front door open?
Because his friend just left it open, I guess.
How can he not? She can make full. He is in full.
Like, that was crazy of her. Girl, why are you just?
Okay, wait. We have not gotten to the plot. So what Rachel's trying to say
is that the plot. We're like, why?
So
she gets up and leaves. She comes back after she realizes what she does and is like, I genuinely like this guy. And then she overhears Glen's character Ben talking shit about her to the friend.
Yeah, it's like it is very mean, but it's coming across as someone who is like hurt, and their way of being like brushing it off is being very, very mean about it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, sometime later, and
really poorly established too.
Right.
Time later.
Yeah. And so it's like
deeply confused.
His sister and Ben's best friend who he was talking to, his sister, are together, and they're like at a bar, and they're like, oh, you have to meet my friend Ben. And these two, instead of being adults and being like,
they're definitely under 29. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're like, oh, okay, hi. Granted, I'm a Scorpio. I get it. I would not be nice to somebody like that. However, they are just like aggressively mean the minute they see each other again. And it's like, he doesn't know that she heard him, and he is mad because she just up and left and didn't say anything to him. So
because he doesn't know that she came back.
Yeah, he took it as you like that meant nothing to you when it actually meant a lot to me because I don't do that stuff. And then she was like, you called me pathetic, fuck you. And so they're just mean to each other. So then the two girls are getting married. They're like, oh, our wedding, it's in Australia. Why? So snakes can bite you? Fuck. But anyways,
spiders can crawl up your butt.
That was so gross for no reason.
They go to Australia. They have like, it's a whole thing. Everyone wants them together. They find out.
They're both in the wedding party.
Yes.
And it's like a small, intimate wedding. And they're all now like staying in this little village in Australia together.
It's a small village. It's Sydney.
And it's one house.
No, but like they were in like one house. Like they were in like one little, I guess, resort. Like they're staying in this like, little resort.
Like you're in a big house.
Not village.
Raven, no. They're in Sydney. What do you mean a small village?
The quaint village of Sydney, Australia.
But essentially everyone wants them together, and they are like pushing them together, and they finally are like,
I don't know why, other than both of our friends are absolutely unbearable, horrible human beings. Let's put them together and ship them off somewhere.
I guess.
Because for some reason everyone instantly shipped them, even though the audience didn't really. I mean, with like,
it's because they're two hot people. Like they were like,
I get
Absolutely
it.
no redeemable qualities.
I guess if you put them together, they can't ruin other people.
Maybe they think their awfulness will like cancel each other out.
That's what I just said. They'll cancel each other. Do it like this.
But basically then Ben and B decide to like play along with it and pretend to date, and Ben wants to get back.
Wait, hold on.
Oh.
I want to talk about the most insane way that these two are like, this is how we'll prove we're dating each other. Hand down your pants, grabbing your ass. Have you not seen people?
Also, the implication that her finger.
Yeah.
Again, this was the moment where I was like, I forgot this was basically written by a man.
Yep.
Because none of this is like rom-com humor. Actually, there's so much humor in this movie that is not rom-com humor. This is why I maintain that this is a rom-com for men. This was like somebody intentionally trying to repackage rom-coms so that the guy will be entertained during their date.
I agree. That's a strong take.
Because it was written by a man and a woman.
I will also say on top of that.
So it was written by Ileana. I can't remember what her last name is. And the director whose name I'm completely blanking on.
Glen, who also wrote Easy A.
Yeah.
Which
I had issues with that one back in the day too. Love that movie in terms of it like being a very prominent thing in like my teen years, but upon further reflection, anyways, he rewrote a lot of it during the like process of making it, which is where I think a lot of the problems occur. But that's just my thoughts.
It's funny that you say that scene made you realize it, because that in that exact scene, I realized how ill-fitting all of Sydney Sweeney's bikinis were. And it was like the back strap would be like all the way up her back, whereas the front would lay normally. So the bikini would be like
what was also
an upside down triangle, rather than like the actual straps fitting around her.
Go ahead, Maggie.
No, I was just gonna say it was also the outfit that she's wearing on the plane when she like basically rides his lap, and the weird and like no, but like the whole time.
But also, it's like all of the outfits were supposed to make her look pushed up rather than like
what
functional for the occasion.
Not to poke some holes in airplanes, but
please don't poke holes in airplanes. They actually have a really big problem right now with holes in airplanes. So Rachel, if you could just not put holes in airplanes.
Not to poke holes in the airplane logic of this movie.
They're gonna like bring up this exact like part of the conversation in like the lawsuit against Boeing. Rachel's gonna be taken to court.
I feel like this woman's been flying a lot, and we've noticed after she's been on the plane,
there's some holes there.
No. Not to poke holes in airplane lore that this movie establishes, but she walked right into first class and no flight attendant stopped her ass. I've tried to go to the bathroom near first class and they're like, where are you going? And I'm like, to this bathroom that's in front of first class's like door. Like, I'm not going up there. I'm going to this bathroom. Like, they don't let you move from coach. Half the time they don't even let you move from coach to business. Like, you have to stay in your fucking lane. So she just strolled on up to first class.
Where Ben was.
To where Ben was to steal a cookie, I guess.
Yep.
And this woman next to her wakes up to see Sydney Sweeney, like, what it looks like having sex with this man who is asleep. And
does nothing. I'm sorry.
She's like,
something.
That gives me first class vibes though. Like, you just mind your own business there.
Not that close to me. If you're gonna get like, if you want to join the Mile High Club, go to the bathroom.
I would like more alcohol if that's happening. It's free in first class. You go assist me by getting it and bringing it.
But I just think that entire part of the movie was so absurd, because what I was under the impression was that she had gotten up to like go to the bathroom or something casual, and then it was on her walk back to her seat where she saw that like Glen Powell was sleeping.
Go to the bathroom
well, maybe she did. Maybe that's the plot hole right there. She did, and she's walking back and she sees Glen Powell is asleep, but he has a cookie. So she decides to climb over the man who is sleeping next to him in his seat,
the whole thing
to grab the cookie. But I just don't understand how desperate you'd have to be for like a cookie or even like revenge in that moment.
Other ways that they could have worked out her, because obviously the entire point of that scene is because she needed to be able to hear his Serenity song. But there is another way. Like, I sat this morning and very like concentrated on thinking of an alternative to how she could have learned that that was his Serenity song, and a very non-sexual, because that entire thing was meant to be like gratuitously like sexual illusion, and also to just like shake her tits and the camera's face. They could have had him sitting in like the last row of first class, and her coming out of the bathroom, since bathrooms are like a theme for her, and tripping and falling. And when she gets up, she sees that he's like listening to music and like leans in to hear what he's listening to because she's like nosy bitch. And then
I mean, there's so many different ways
you want.
Like-
it's even simpler than that. It could be like when he is like messing with her, she can go up to the front and he has it on, and she like hits his headphone off and hears that it's playing.
That's what I was gonna say. All she had to do was like pull the cord off, or like he accidentally turns off Bluetooth. If
you could also like, this is even like crazier if you wanted to do like a far-fetched way of doing it, is like if she's close enough up in the plane and he's using like Bluetooth, and you established earlier on that they listen to something on like his like Bluetooth in his apartment or something that connects through her phone or something, and then it comes up on her phone like what he's playing. Like there's so many different ways that you can play with like the technology.
You see what people are listening on Spotify if you're friends with them on Facebook.
Right.
Like she could have just looked at it and been like, what the hell? Like there are so many ways you could have done it that didn't include a woman riding a sleeping man.
But I do think that they chose that specific scenario because I think her entire character was very like manic pixie, but not in the early 2000s way and like the 2020s way where she's like hyper quirky, but also like deadpan. I don't care about shit. Like, I don't know. Like, I just felt like it was very manic pixie of her, and that was just
deadpan sex kitten.
Yes,
that's the thing.
Which I will say, my problem with this movie is a lot of like that character, not necessarily like I like Ben fine. I think the issue is there's no world where we are looking at a woman like Sydney Sweeney. She's beautiful. Where I'm believing she is a mess of a human. There's not with the exception of Euphoria, where it is established that her family is a piece of shit and she is very like sad. There's not a world where I instantly believe that someone who looks like Sydney Sweeney is like, oh, I'm a mess. Like it
sounds like wonderful parents, like a very normal sister, like.
Yeah. And I also don't feel like real people are messes in the way that her charter was a mess in that movie.
No, because what exactly makes her a mess?
Just
being a cheater,
law school, like
and being a cheater on her like childhood sweetheart.
It's all just like the little quirks, like you said, when they were like hinting that she fingered him while grabbing his ass, and she, you know, fell on his lap while trying to steal a cookie for no reason. Like it's just like endless little weird shit that she does. That makes no sense.
Again, like this is me being a nitpicky person, but I also feel like the way that they framed her being like, oh my God, I've never slept over at a guy's house before was so weird.
A fiance.
It made no sense. And like, I get like if they were trying to, and again, I think this is a male writer misrepresenting how females like function in the world, because just because you've only dated one guy doesn't mean you're going to be a nervous wreck of the idea of like staying over at a stranger's house or like and the whole like girl conversation on the phone of being like, oh my God, this is happening, just felt like you were trying to do like a novice co-ed who is like at college for the first time and has never like done any of this. This doesn't feel like somebody who's been in like a relationship since she was apparently like in middle school, since they said he's been staying at their house since he was like 10 or 11 or something.
Well, here's the thing. You don't even make them engaged. You can literally make, if you wanted to fix this, make her parents having like wanting them to be together for all these years and her being like, I don't want that. And then like, then it changes everything about her that she's like, I don't want that. And then she finds someone that she does want and then fucks it up and he fucks it up. And they both are like you could,
that's something borrowed. That's already a movie.
I know.
But yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of my problems stem from the fact that I'm like, I don't know what the fuck she's up to.
And I think that comes to, they had so many different ideas for the type of character they wanted her to be, and they didn't stick with one. They were like pulling from so many different sources for that style of character that you end up just getting a very incomplete character.
I agree. Very well put. I think that we are talking a lot of shit about Sydney's character when I think that Glen's character had equal amount of flaws. And what bothered me the most is when they had first kind of reunited after the unestablished period of time, he would express his anger towards her by making fun of her like sexuality and her looks, which to me instantly makes you like a misogynistic troll. Like horrible. From there, you cannot come back when you're like, you used your sexuality on me. And it's like,
but she did it. You guys just fell asleep.
You fell asleep on a couch after eating a grilled cheese where you blew on each other.
Also, he was the move. He was the one who did that generous whatever you want to call it, move at the coffee shop. And then on her way out, she said, "Are you going to ask me out?" And he asked her out. Like, he was equally implicit in them getting together. And then for him to just throw her like sexuality and whatever at her, I was just immediately like, why is he doing this if he's not a bad guy?
Especially when she wasn't trying to hook up with him at all. They fell asleep talking.
Here's the thing that I will say that this movie does but doesn't give to her, which I was like, well, that's a disservice to her as a character, is like, you understand a little bit more of how he reacts because of like, you see the girl that he was in love with and how she broke his heart and how she kind of reacted. He shouldn't react the way he did, but it at least like informs why he acts the way he does.
Also,
I don't know why that's broken with him.
He was awake when she left. If he really had such a big problem with her leaving, he could have popped up and been like, "Oh, really?" and had that conversation then. That would have even created a better dynamic rather than her being like ding dong ditch, is the fact that like, if he woke up and was like, "Why are you doing this?" and her just being like, "I don't want to do this." And then her second guessing herself and coming back and being like, "I overreacted. Like, no, this is something." And then hearing that would have added more vested interest in their dynamic.
Yes. Well, I also think that one thing that was a giant red flag is that when she leaves and apparently comes back immediately after, like, it's like
she wants a block and a half.
He's talking on the phone. She runs back to meet him. He is already talking mad shit about her. Also, like, he did not have a single moment of like genuine heartbreak. Like, I don't know. I guess maybe you can express your heartbreak through anger, blah, blah, blah. I just think that you are not a good person when you express your heartbreak through anger by doing personal attacks on a person.
Also, like, why did his friends show up like that, already knowing what was going on like seconds after she left? I was like, well, again, the timeline in this movie just does not fundamentally work.
Here's also how it works, but doesn't for me, in the sense that like, I do that shit. Like, if I'm mad, I say the meanest things possible. But A, I'm not a movie character, and B, that person never hears what I'm saying, where the plot of the... And, like, there's never a conversation where he's like, I didn't actually mean what I said. I was very upset. And this is how I react when I'm upset, and I shouldn't act. Like, if he had a moment of self-reflection, I would be like, I get it. I do that same thing. But they don't give these characters that. They give them like a modicum of like, oh, you can have this little itty bitty, the crumbs of why you would act that way. But then it's on us to figure it out. And I'm like, no.
I'm going to say, even with the crumbs, though, I don't know why Sydney acted that way. Like, I think it was Rachel, you said earlier that, like, at least we got a little bit of Glen's background. But for Sydney's character,
man, other than she thought he was boring.
Right.
And she's like, or she said, we don't fight. And I was like, okay. Is there anything else you want to share about why you're so
Margaret I've ever seen? A shame to my name.
The Margaret.
I will say, though, I have some, I'm going through my notes. I took some extensive notes while watching this movie. The Titanic thing did work on me, but I think that they ruined it when they fell off the boat. Like, I just don't think that I think that the movie wasn't funny enough to be a comedy. It wasn't romantic enough to be a romance. It was not, I cannot even classify it as a romantic comedy because it wasn't either of those things to me personally. But when the Titanic scene happened, I was like, oh, this is cute. And then they fell into the boat and it just got absolutely absurd again. And like, I feel like they couldn't commit to anything. They couldn't commit to the romance. They couldn't commit to the comedy. So instead they like use each aspect to like disrupt each other, if that makes sense.
And I think the issue is that it, to me, felt like that was the scene that they really wanted to make work. Because that's the like iconic recreation of an iconic romance. You have him confessing his fear of flying, the payoff of the Natasha Bedingfield song.
And you have like the family watching and they're also finally starting to buy into this, like,
exactly.
What is a fake
That
romance?
is the moment, like the midpoint of the film where everything should turn. But to me, it just felt like they had established this is the scene that they wanted to get to. And it didn't matter how they got to it as long as they set up what they needed to pay it off. And I think that's why that scene fell very flat for me, because it all felt very contrived.
What I don't understand is why they learned nothing from the bug up the ass and didn't make sure people were looking at them first. Like, it took, like, they just went and did this thing. I think if they established that, like, they actually did like each other and they were doing these things to be like, oh, we want to trick them, but really they just wanted to go and do them together, I would have fully believed, oh, they went to do this and we're like, oh, hope they see, but we're doing it because they really wanted to. I would have been like fully
on. The stuff went on for too long. That was another issue with that.
What did you say?
the butt stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, one, if you were doing that, all of that, and they were watching you, none of them would believe you were in a relationship because it was very clear that you were like performing. But it also felt like a bad SNL sketch. You know, this certain like, I love SNL for what it is, but there are certain sketches that go on too long. Like the joke at that point has died and they're like still beating the dead horse to get to the finish line of whatever punchline they're trying to establish. And that particular scene to me felt very much like an SNL sketch because it was so over the top. It wasn't even like a cutesy sort of like bad joke of like, let's just like stick our hands down each other's pants. It felt like it went on for too long. And I think that was one of the things that like fully took me out of the moment for that. And I was like, well, I think this is gonna.
Another thing that took me out of the moment during that scene is after he like panics because she finds the spider in his pants and he takes off his clothes and like throws him off the cliff. And then you don't see what happens to them. And then he comes back wearing her shorts while she's in underwear. She hates him. Why would she give him her shorts? Especially if like no one's paying attention to it being like somewhat of a romantic.
They're already playing it up at that point. Like that I didn't question because they're already playing up the like, oh, we're in a relationship. Surprise.
But no one was watching. Like and no one
if he came back naked, they would be like, what the fuck happened?
True. I don't know. I just feel like I didn't understand why she made that generous effort. That would have equally embarrassed her. Like then she showed up in her underwear. In her tiny underwear.
Earlier that he like when they're on their little walk around town date, he says to her, if there's a spider, you're on your own. He's like, I don't like spiders. So I think it was like, despite how much she didn't like him at that point, like she still remembered like this bitch hates spiders and kind of was like being nice to him.
But that's crazy because if there was ever a moment for her to give him any grace, it would have been him calling her pathetic and none of this happening. Like, I just don't understand. They seem to have really picked and choose to where whenever she showed an ounce of kindness to him, it did not affect their overall relationship.
Because that just doesn't make sense like the next like second.
Right. Like it just did not make sense to me.
So where were we plot wise? They were in the ocean. They were in the what is that?
Like the second half of the movie.
What is that? A river? What is the where the Sydney the harbor? I was like, what is the body of water?
Well, don't ask me. I don't know geography.
Yeah, he said it's.
I thought Sydney was a village.
So then the end of this movie is essentially they are really close. They sleep together finally after making a grilled cheese after being in the Sydney harbor.
Sexy making a grilled cheese.
Sex making a grilled cheese. They still haven't showered at that point.
I think they actually put me off grilled cheese. The whole blowing inside somebody's mouth.
I don't love
that was so gross. So she like takes a bite out of the sandwich.
I was like, chew it. You have not chewed.
But also they made a grilled cheese the right way, which is like when you butter both sides of the bread and then put it on there. So I was like, love you for that one though. Yeah. So they have sex in a bed, haven't showered yet. Shower. Again, they were in the Sydney harbor. And then they're like, we're back in bed with each other. Yay. Again, she up and leaves. She learned jack shit.
He left that time.
Well, great. Still, no one's learned anything about communication. I don't know. Maybe
and we are now an hour and 15 minutes into the movie. No one's learned a single fucking thing.
No one has learned. Maybe just leave a note. And so then it's like the day. Is it the day of the wedding? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the day of the wedding, and they're like
pissed off at each other again.
Well, they're pissed off at each other because she told him when they were on the buoy, was like, I'm not, like, I quit law school. And so he, venting to his best friend, as you do, told him, and this guy turned around and just told everybody. He turned around and
neither of them did it maliciously.
No, it was just so funny because that is literally the crux of the problem with this movie is that this guy turned around and went, yeah, she quit law school.
I'm just now realizing that both of the major problems in the movie were caused by his friend, who I'm like, he's innocent, leave him alone.
His friend who was like genuinely a very nice man who was just, he has like zero brain cells. And so this whole movie, he's like he was my favorite part of the duo of him and his stepdad trying to convince Ben to like go on a date with her, where he's like, yes, Ben, why don't you go on a date with her? He like can't say a sentence like a normal person. Klonopin's also his dog.
The chaos just never ends with him.
No, but it leads to Mags and B going to pick up a cake, and then Matt, for some reason, why we'll never know, B is talking to Mags, and Mags is like, oh, like, what if I like dated him? And she's like, sure. Again, no one learned a single goddamn thing. And so then Mags is like, great, I'm gonna try and like be with Ben again. And they get the cake back, they put it on this dog's fucking toy that he has been training with the entire movie. As they walk in, B's parents come yelling at her like, you quit law school. And so then
And
Ben,
she immediately like blames Ben.
Ben.
Like she's immediately like, Ben's the only person I told. He has to be the one who told.
He was correct for that one because
Right.
he's the only person she told. And he's like, no. And then realized he told his friend who's like, quit law school. When though did she the timeline doesn't make any sense because they talked about it on the walk with the flowers and they get back with the flowers. So is this guy over there like
texting the dad as he's there walking? Like, this is the intel that I have.
He was on a walkie. He's like, she quit law school.
I did want to say that the friend's name is Pete. He is supposed to be the makeshift Don Pedro from Much Ado About Nothing because Pete, Pedro, and Claudia is Claudio.
Yeah.
Like
Claudia,
even though the situation is different.
Don Pedro is Peter. In fucking what world? Anyways.
Yeah, I know he does not give Prince of Aragon vibes, but whatever.
So anyways, the dog sees the toy and Klonopin knocks over the cake as everyone's fighting because B quit law school.
And wait, and for some reason this is blamed on B. I had to go back and rewatch the scene. I guess the blame is that she had given Margaret the cake and during the conflict, Margaret put it down.
Oh, see, I read that differently. I read it as she was to blame because her issue became the talk of the wedding, not necessarily
for the cake. Okay.
I think it was just her sister was pissed because it's like, cool, this is about you and not me and it's my wedding. That's how I read
that the whole time.
The cake just kind of was like the tip of the iceberg where it's like, and now you ruined my cake.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's definitely like the straw that broke the camel's back there.
Okay.
But also, Margaret is a character name in Much Ado About Nothing as well. Just wanted to throw out my...
Like, also Margaret exists here.
She's like a attendant to Hero.
Which is isn't applicable in this.
No, unfortunately.
Her name is just here. But yeah, basically the wedding happens. There's Ben and B still not really talking to each other, even though like the first time B has like maybe justifiable anger, but also like it wasn't Ben's fault. It was Peter's. And then like, again, if you all communicate, maybe this wouldn't have happened. Before the wedding, the way that they're like, okay, we have to kind of like get it to fucking gather because they're upset is actually good acting from Claudia and what's her sister's name? I forget the name from Much Ado.
Is it Nat?
Is it Nat?
This was Leonardo, right? They took Nat from Leonardo.
Hal.
Oh, is it Hal?
Yeah, it's like Hallie. Hal. Hale. Those Claudia and her are acting, but we don't know at the time, and they're like, this whole thing and they're like doing good acting versus what everyone was doing the rest of the time that they were trying to trick Ben and B. And so Ben and B are like, okay, we need to get through this wedding and like suck it up. And then we don't have to see each other ever again. Stupid when your best friend and her sister are getting married that you think you're never going to see each other again. But leads to B being upset at the actual wedding because him and Mags try and kiss. And he's like, actually, I don't like this. Like, I don't want this. This isn't what I want. And so he goes and is like, where'd you go? I don't know why.
She had already excused herself from the wedding with the permission of the brides, which I'm sorry, all of this coming down to this made absolutely no sense to me. No. Because I didn't get why they weren't even a little bit, why they weren't given, like they weren't given the space in the script to be mad. They were truly just like pushed aside as these supporting characters.
Which you also
endlessly support these train wrecks of human beings.
You could have also solved it by they do like a fake out when they like invite everybody to the wedding where they're at a ceremony and like their whole invite is like, no, we can't be doing this. Let's do it in Australia. I would have believed that those two were not actually mad if they revealed that during that fake out, they actually got married and they're like, this is just to celebrate with our family. We've been married. I was so stressed out about the actual wedding. I wanted to kind of just get it over with. So we went and did it ourselves. Now we're just including you guys. I'm not that upset about what happened because I'm already married to someone I love. I would have believed that they didn't give a shit at that point. It'd be like, yeah, I get it.
But I think that the big reveal that they were like faking their argument was supposed to be another comedic moment that just did not make sense in the like overall plot of the movie.
No.
Like, I just really wish that they would have given us like 10 seconds to be like, these aren't just like random best friend characters, by allowing them the grace of like being upset by these two people who ruined their entire destination wedding.
Well, and Claudia is for like a split second, but they're also like,
They
But
immediately forget.
very anxious about the wedding, and you're like,
she
okay,
should be. They've ruined everything up till now.
get married.
Right. But they like immediately give B permission to leave their wedding.
Honestly, relatable. They're like, go.
Bye. We don't want you here. Bye.
See you
and
later.
then what happens? Then Ben comes up to them and is like, where did she go? She saw, and then they say, oh, she saw you kissing your ex.
And he's like, she kissed me, which I do think that was, I laughed at that where he's like, hold on. She kissed me and I decided I wasn't into that, which is such a man response of being like, technically, I didn't do it.
I did not do the kissing.
Technically, not me. And then the reason that we have the Titanic scene is so we can establish what he's about to do, which I think is a really cute ending, but I wish they found a better way to get there in the first place.
But I still don't understand why either of them have real feelings for each other at that point.
Yeah.
I still don't believe why just seeing him show up is enough for her.
Like, she immediately forgives him after holding this grudge against him for years. I don't know, for X unestablished time.
It would be like 2 weeks, and we're like, for years.
She's been harboring resentment her whole life.
Like, and then there's a grand gesture. You guys probably saw it on Twitter before the movie even fucking came out, because that's why everyone got interested in this movie, was like seeing him running from the water to Sydney Sweeney was like why everyone knew what anyone but you was.
That's not why I knew about this movie.
I saw the Titanic scene, I feel like, a lot.
I saw the bugs scene.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I'm talking about before the movie even came out, when it was being filmed.
The trailer has the half naked moment.
That makes sense. Yeah, my whole timeline was losing their shit when it was being filmed, and he like ran from the dock. They're like, "What the fuck is this movie?" But also, he ran so fast. Which the joke in this movie that stays with me the most is when she does make fun of him, and it's genuinely funny when he's trying to swim, and she goes, "Oh my god, you're hot girl fit." And he's like, I don't do cardio. He's like dying in the fucking water. And she's like making fun of him. I thought that was genuinely funny, because I'm also like, how do you not do cardio but have abs? I need like someone to like.
Oh, you can just do sit-ups and get abs. You don't really have to do full cardio.
No. You learn something new every day. And then he runs after her, and it's like that part was cute where she was like, "Are you dying?" And he was like, "Yeah, I can't breathe." But I wish there was like more build up to why all of that is cute and why I like this movie. I do think it's like a fun plane movie, but because I watched it on a plane again. Any last thoughts?
Will not rewatch.
Retweet.
I'll rewatch on a plane.
I'd maybe try watching it on a plane. I feel like it's good like background noise.
This is a good segue to I was gonna talk about how our friends over at Phase Zero gave us a shout out. I will say one time when I was at a junket, and it was the only two people who were like, this movie's good. Like, I like watching this movie, was me and Brandon Davis, and then we both had to be like, yeah, I'll watch it on a plane. Like, we both were like, it's a good plane movie. What are you talking about? Watching on a plane? You're half paying attention. People literally on my plane to California, every row had someone watching Anyone But You. So I opted to be my row's person. Like, every row had someone putting it on. So I do think it is a good, like, I'm on this plane for 5 fucking hours. What am I going to watch? I'll put that.
It obviously reached like some sort of audience if it was so successful in the box office.
Yeah.
I would just like to know how we define this audience and what they like, what are their interests, and why do they watch this movie.
Me, easy people who are like, I had a fine time. I was giggling. And that's about all I need in a movie. If I giggle some, I'm like, I don't think
I just didn't giggle at all. Like, I was within the first 10 minutes, and I put in our little group chat, like, I just can't stop cringing. And I don't know if it's good or bad.
It was definitely a movie.
I will say, though, I haven't liked a lot of the rom-coms that have come out recently. And this is one that I watched from start to finish. So I don't know what award that gives them, but
I'm interested to revisit or visit. I can't remember if I've ever actually seen it. Step It Up.
I love Step It Up.
Set It Up. Iconic, great rom-com.
Fundamental issue with rom-coms of this era is that they all feel like they cater to men. I even felt that way about No Hard Feelings. I felt like that was a rom-com very slanted towards a younger male demographic, whereas this one felt like a millennial male demographic. Even like the bareness of Glen felt like it was very catering towards the male gaze in a lot of ways. And I think that's where my disconnect has largely been with a lot of rom-coms. And it's very strange to me when that is not typically the demographic that is like going out and watching these movies. And like I get that they're great date movies, and like there's definitely a way to like make things appeal to everybody who is in your theater, but it's a pass for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with how rom-coms are being made.
Weird. It's so
it's
somebody who has like such a fondness for like 27 Dresses and like Kate and Leopold, which everyone's talking about again because we're having a Hugh Jackman-nescence.
We got there.
We got there. I don't know. It's just very different vibes from like
the main issue for me is that it's a female character who was not written by a woman in a lot of ways. Or if Ileana wrote a lot of her parts, like, sorry girl, you didn't make this character feel like, listen, 27 Dresses I love. Sometimes James Marsden's character does some shit that I'm like, but I love him because I love her and the journey she's going on with it. I feel like we would.
She doesn't let him get away with it.
No, and we would excuse a lot more of what's going on with Ben in this movie if B was someone who, like, I understood why she was so angry at him and I understood what she was doing. Not to put a lot of that on the woman, but if your
usually is rom-com, yeah, like that's the protagonist is usually her.
Well, I just feel like this movie didn't really have a journey. Like all of the movies that we have mentioned, even No Hard Feelings, which I didn't like when I initially saw it because I thought that the movie was advertised to be more of like a sex comedy and it came off a bit more as like a rom-com to me. That didn't really have the rom aspect because of how weird it was. But but like both of those movies at least followed characters on a journey and they had like a character arc and a turning point. Whereas this, I felt like the two characters stayed the same the entire movie and I never understood why they were doing what they were doing.
I needed her to be in law school and her be miserable. And I think they had a conversation about law school, but it wasn't memorable enough for me to realize that he was like, if you're not happy, quit.
That was another issue for me. Sorry, that just reminded me of another thing. Like, there's no alternative for what she is interested in.
Yeah.
Like, I would understand.
Because there's nothing going on. She's brain empty. There's nothing going on there.
I watch a lot of Hallmark movies, like a lot of Hallmark movies. Like that is my thing. And even the most vapid of their characters, however, I have to say, I have to commend Hallmark. They have gotten so much more like diverse in their storytelling in like the last couple of years. And I'm like super impressed with what they've been doing. They don't technically have vapid characters anymore, but like when you look at some of their older stuff, even the most vapid, brain dead female characters that they have that forgive like the stupidest stuff that men do within the realms of like a Hallmark movie, which is just like, oh, actually, this is the guy that's come to repossess your grandmother's home. Sorry, he lied to you.
I love him.
I love him still. But they always have like a career. They always have goals.
Yes.
Even if they hate their career, there's always something that they're looking toward doing that they actually have a passion for. And by the end of the movie, they get to do whatever that thing is, or they're on the track to do that. Whereas here, her only achievement is that she got the guy.
Which I also think you could have solved. It's okay that a woman doesn't know what she wants, but you could have solved it if she was like 21. I feel like making them older, it's like, well, what are you fucking doing, girl? Like if she was 21, 22 and she's like, I don't want to do this, but I don't know what I want. Her parents then would be assholes if they didn't step up like, okay, fine. I'm going to let you take a break from law school to figure out what you want, but you need to do that. And then like, maybe this guy's like, hey, I'm so glad we reconnected and all this stuff. I don't want to be the reason you don't do something. So we need to have like, there needed to be conversation. Conversation. Like, I liked this movie fine. I was like, I liked that it made a lot of money so then we can have more rom-coms.
I just don't want more rom-coms if they're going to be like this. Like, I'm sorry. I love rom-coms.
It made people recognize that people want them. So I hope that it maybe will like give other rom-coms a chance that were not going to be made otherwise. I hope it doesn't like fall into the same pitfalls of none of these characters talk to each other and it doesn't, which inherently turns it into an airplane movie where I'm like, I'm playing a game on my phone and also like looking up when Glen Powell doesn't have a shirt on. But like, yeah, I didn't hate it, but I also like, I'm cutting rom-com out of it. I'm doing the Shakespeare adaptations. I'm watching 10 Things I Hate About You 12 times over before I watch this. but I did have a fun time for what it is.
That's fair.
Maggie has something to say. Maggie was like, yeah, I don't think it recreated the goddamn wheel. I think it was just like, it was the fourth.
If anything, it took some of the spokes off the wheel.
It was the fourth.
I was gonna say, because I don't think that movies have to recreate the reel or the wheel to be good, but I feel like this movie did kind of push us back, as Maggie was saying, like how we've evolved as like female.
If Hallmark can do better, Sony can do better.
I do hope though that the success that this movie did find helps people realize that we want rom-coms, but you can make even more if it's a good one. Yeah. I think this was a fine one. I wouldn't necessarily call it a good/great film, but I do hope that the success makes people realize that we want more rom-coms.
It just sucks though, because it has been like a year since it came out, and I can't honestly name a rom-com that I'm either anticipating or that has come out. That is okay, fine. Twister should have been a rom-com.
It is. The film Twisters.
We have things to discuss on the Twisters episode because I have some issues with their depiction of romance.
My favorite rom-com, Twisters. But yeah. Okay. If that's everyone's thoughts, we can move on to.
I have a lot more thoughts, but I am sparing all of them.
Maggie's like, we would be here for another.
This podcast could be 5 hours if we wanted it to.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
5 hours talking about a movie that's only 90 minutes.
Well, in that case, we're going to talk about our favorite
Brisket
hour, the Brisket Hour. Who wants to start?
We need a song for Brisket Hour.
Brisket.
We need like a barbecue song.
What is a barbecue song? Like, please explain. What do you listen to? What did they play at the Top Gun bar?
Take my breath away. What's that Lady Gaga song that's in Top Gun Maverick?
No, Great Balls of Fire.
Oh yeah. Take them old briskets off the shelf. Okay.
Love. Immediately love.
There we go. We found it.
Brisket Hour.
I'll start. It's Brisket when he went to Fashion Week. Oh, me and Maggie. Brisket at Fashion Week. He's got a little thing in his mouth. He's a baby. I love Brisket.
When was Fashion Week? How old is this?
I don't know. I screen grabbed it from Glen Powell's Instagram. Or the Hot Brisket Instagram, sorry. The Glen Powell runs, but does not.
Do we know that he runs it? Is that confirmed?
Yeah, he runs.
You have to assume. But also, my favorite thing about that Instagram account is that he doesn't follow Glen Powell. Also, honorable mention, all of the videos that Glen Powell / Hot Brisket have been sharing of Glen Powell with his niece and his nephew and the dog. I'm not sharing them. They're children. But it is very cute watching him interact with his niece and his nephew as someone with a niece and a nephew. Universal, that's how you treat your niece and your nephew. You're like, here's my puppy. Okay, let's do Maggie next.
Aww.
I feel like this was an excellent one with Brandon with Brisket on the set of Twisters. I felt like this was a great picture to bring to this, since I still haven't seen Twisters, and all of my content for Twisters has come from social media posts, and I think Brandon is a cutie. So yeah,
I love his long hair in this photo.
I know.
Yeah, he looks good.
Okay, and then so there are two that Raven brought. First, we will talk about this one, and then I'll show you Raven's pick. So
another reason why Ryan
Reynolds come on the pod.
It's Ryan Reynolds hour, you guys.
Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman were asked, who is the dog of the summer, Dog Pool or Brisket?
By E-Talk. Is that Canada? Is that a Canadian outlet?
That's Canadian.
And I feel like this is at like a Wolverine and Deadpool premiere, and the dog pool is like an unconventional looking puppy who is a bit of a joke in the movie.
The dog's been through some shit.
He's been through some shit. That's a perfect way to describe it, Rachel.
Get it together. That her real name is Penny. Peggy. I was like, it's a woman. She's a woman dog.
Which is a nickname for Margaret.
Oh my God, full circle over here. They obviously say dog pool. I disagree. It's Brisket, but
100%. I feel like they had to say dog pool. Like,
they have to.
They had to.
Did you see in that video though, Hugh Jackman?
Oh my God, he could not stop staring at the photo, and the photo.
We have it thanks to Raven.
The photo was my photo of the week last week. My cowboy of the week.
They pulled this image up.
And it's
Hugh Jackman's face was like this. And just like looked at the image for an extended period of time while Ryan Reynolds is just like talking about the dog.
Iconic. In that moment, I was Hugh Jackman. That was me on the pod 2 weeks ago.
I have to call Hugh Jackman relatable for that. He was like,
so funny because I think Ryan had said, like, if he was wearing a shirt, no one would like this photo as much. And I was like,
Ryan, you can't talk. Amityville Horror. You know, I mean, famously, I did when I saw that picture say, "Ain't no one looking at that dog."
So Hugh Jackman is just, his face conveys what all of us are thinking. Like Maggie said, one of us. He's one of us. Come on the pod, Hugh!
He is one of us. I'm fixing the song from The Lion King 2, Simba's Bride. He is one of us. And so Raven's actual picture.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about it other than Daisy is an angel, Brisket is an angel, and this photo of both of them with this beautiful backlighting is just gorgeous. And I'm obsessed with the Brisket Instagram page, constantly giving us content of Daisy and Brisket.
Yeah. Also,
I'm here for it.
Great haircut, Daisy. I don't know why I would say that. I don't know why I would say Daisy Edgar Jones has a great haircut.
Wow, I can't even tell the difference between you two.
It's honestly jarring.
Her hair looks so good. I had bangs first. Anyways, the next segment of the evening, if everyone is prepared, I'm just going to make them up again. It is everyone's favorite time. Suddenly, cowboy, your lasso around me. Suddenly, cowboy of the week. You're welcome. I'm gonna keep that one. I think that was good. All right, Maggie, explain yourself.
Okay, so Glen recently had an appearance on a late night show, and as Stephen Colbert, yes, thank you. And as Stephen Colbert is wont to do, he pulled some things from the archives. I have to say, I am really curious to know if Glen genuinely didn't know this was going to be discussed, because as you know, it's really hard to just pull things from the archive without like getting the tip to pull things from the archive. So if he was acting in surprise, kudos to you, Glen. You really are a really good actor. But he seemed genuinely horrified of Stephen pulling this image from the archives, and this image, which again, Glen has not like changed at all. Gotten taller.
The background of this image, I'm like 85% sure this is Castaic Lake. This looks like where I lived in California.
It is not, apparently. This is Mexico.
That's Castaic Lake. You can tell me it's not. That is Castaic Lake.
Anyways,
fear factor. Anyways, go ahead.
So he was on a show as a child called Endurance 2, which those of us who are millennials will most likely remember. I remember Endurance very well.
I have never heard of this.
Okay, so it was Survivor for kids.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, it didn't last very long. I think it lasted like 4 seasons, but he was on season 2.
Are we going to watch an episode of this? Can we watch this for the pod?
I don't know. It was on Discovery Kids. I don't know how. I'm sure somebody has it on YouTube.
It's on Max. It has to be on Max. Hold on.
It would be one episode because he got eliminated in the very first episode.
Iconic.
He wanted it more than anyone else. Like,
it's on Prime Video. We can each spend.
Oh shit!
We can each spend 99 cents.
Or one of us can spend 99 cents and just share the password. But whatever floats your boat, Rachel.
I'm just trying to be nice on air.
And his whole little thing is just like very cute. So I am a sucker for like throwbacks to like kids manifesting their destinies. And like his whole thing was that he like wanted the prize money to like buy himself cameras so he could make movies. And the fact that he is somebody who is like producing movies and is really like forging his own way. Look how serious I'm being. And Rachel has her head in her shirt. Anyways.
He said manifest destiny.
Wait, we didn't talk about this in the news, but yeah, he is still dedicated to his industry because he is in college right now studying. What is he studying, Maggie?
Early American history, where he most
that has nothing to fucking do with him wanting to buy cameras.
The terminology is happening again. He is getting a degree in broadcast,
but he has to go back and finish 2 classes, which will involve studying early American history.
I know, but I could see that Raven was like,
you guys had lost me. You had lost me. I'm back. I'm back.
2 classes left. It is Spanish and early American history. Once he finishes those classes, he will have a degree in broadcasting.
Oh my God. Iconic man.
But clearly he is someone who has wanted to be in this industry since he was a wee lad.
And he's putting in the work.
Exactly. And his hobbies were like doing local commercials, and like it was very cute. It was very endearing. If I already wasn't endeared to him, this whole little segment on Stephen Colbert would have won me over. So if you're still on the fence about Glen Powell, go watch the interview.
Also, imagine listening to this podcast and being, you're like, I'm on this fence.
People just want to support us. They just want to support us. They're here. They're here.
Raven, here you go. Yet again, explain
I forgot. This picture.
Just to reiterate to the masses, Raven's pick last week, Raven's pick this week. Explain yourself, Raven.
Well, I went a different angle this time.
What angle? It's the same general.
No, because I have a different take on this than what you have on it. Which is that I saw
spread on this.
I hate it here. Okay, in this photo, our man Glen P is sitting.
Don't say that when his legs are spread like that.
His legs are spread so wide, man spreading on this table while a man is talking at him with like his hand pointed out, obviously making an important statement. And Glen is like, he's full arm mode. His arm is behind his head. His muscles are huge. Beautiful photo. Beautiful man. But when I saw it, I was immediately triggered as a woman who lives in New York City and rides the subway when I saw how much fucking space he was taking up with his legs. This photo was not sexy to me. This photo was the opposite of sexy to me. Just because he is man-spreading so far, I think he should lose his rights to sit down.
Here's the alternative, though, I will pose to this, even though this is not my picture. When a hot man spreads in a situation where I am not annoyed, I find it very attractive.
No, I'm immediately triggered.
If I am annoyed and you are doing it and I can't sit down, I will stab you in the thigh.
You know what the combination was? It was watching Anyone But You and then looking for this photo and seeing this photo. And I was like, oh, you little fucker. I was like, make some space for women.
There's not a woman in the picture.
I can tell you why. Anyways, that was my photo.
My picture is this dirtbag energy that he brought to a plane.
I thought you picked this because he's carrying a vinyl.
Well, also that, because I'm a vinyl bitch.
I like the little face he's making in the bottom one.
Yeah, there's nothing quite like a vinyl record to me. I'm slowly building out my collection. I've been for years getting to see this dirtbag energy, though, like with someone with my vinyl collection, as Maggie pointed out. It's the combination of a backwards hat, which I really fucking love. I love a tank look, not on myself, but on a man. I'm like, okay. And the vinyl just, mwah. I do have a backup because this is the cutest little, like, I'm laughing face. I think it's so cute.
So
Look at the cute little capybara.
It's so cute. I love him. Remember he said, what was he, a bunny? And he said, what the fuck, Daisy?
He's a capybara.
But he was like, what the fuck, Daisy? It was great. Guys, I think that does it for the second episode of the Powell Pod.
We talked about a movie this time.
We talked about a movie that Rachel liked and neither of them liked.
I'm excited to see what we pull together for the next episode.
Yeah.
What movie I'm watching for the first time. Because I've never seen a movie before in my life, I guess.
We'll see if I make it to the theaters for Twisters. We might have to wait for Twisters until it's like on digital.
Which is fine. I'm having so much fun just watching movies.
Everybody wants a movie I think is insane, but I
don't live in a city, so it's not convenient for me to get to a theater.
Then we can do.
How far is your closest theater?
About 35 minutes. They don't have showings all the time.
We'll fly here. We'll go to 40X on August 30th. All right, y'all.
It's been real.
We will see you on the next episode. We'll let you know what we're doing. My vote is for a link later. We'll see which one we're gonna do, but
I think we should do that teen reality TV show. I'm here.
We'll rent one episode to do it. We'll just own that one episode. I think you have to buy it. You can't even rent it. You have to own the one episode of that show.
Again, I'll say I'm sure it is on YouTube.
Yeah, sorry, we'll watch it legally. Tell Maggie, starting with you. Tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at Maggie of the Town, and I am also available on Instagram at the Maggie Lovitt.
Raven. Oh, and Maggie also writes a lot. You should go read her writing.
Hell yeah. I second that. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Raven T. Brunner. And yeah, writing stuff for the internet.
Raven also writes a lot of really cool stuff.
Raven also writes a lot of good stuff on the internet. I'm at Rachel Leishman on Twitter and at Rachel_Leishman on TikTok and Instagram. And I also write for a lot of stuff on the internet.
Yeah, she does.
You can also hear me on Pedro Pascal, a Pedro Pascal podcast, which Maggie has been on twice. Raven still has to be on it. And Cinema Sibs, where me and my brother talk about movies.
Oh, that's
cute. I haven't watched Glen Powell yet. But yeah, until next time, bye-bye.
Bye.